Yes. So once again, welcome to all our participants on day 5. I requested all of you to just put a brief about your background and your interest in attending this FTP. That will be helpful. So if there is any mutual collaboration possible in the near future, that can be done. And I now invite Tanya ji to start today's session.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nidhi ji, for the summary and introduction to today's session. So in the past 4 sessions, as Nidhi ji has said, that we have covered, we have referred back and forth to the contemporary setup vis-a-vis the traditional setup that was already existing and still exists in today's day and age. Yesterday, we kind of looked at like an overview over the structure of the constitutional democratic, PRIs that was set up at the 73rd Amendment. Now you will see that there are it's a 3-tier system. Now, wherever there is a certain population which is lesser than, I think it's around 20 lakh, then you have a 2-tier system where it is straight the Gram Sabha and you have the Zilla Parishad. Where there is a population of, villages more than 20 lakh, then you have the 3-tier system. And the states mostly decide how the tiers are going to be and what kind of reservation. So the system has been generated by the constitutional bill, but the technicalities of it have been left to the state government. Now, here when you see the technical setup of this, you will find that there is in some states there is a lot of a lot of autonomy that is given to the Gram Sabha and the Gram Panchayat, where you will see that people, where the villagers are very alert and awake. That is, mostly you see it in the south and in the eastern and some parts of the west also. So this is something that we should take into account, that there are states that are giving a greater amount of autonomy to these systems that are being set up. The other side is the flip side of it, which is mostly prevalent, is where you have this system where there is always an oversight or micromanagement by the state government. You will see that in the membership system, even in the Gram Sabha. If you would like to make a comparison between the traditional system and between the Gram Sabha that is there, after the 73rd Amendment, what it gives a provision for, in that we see that the election system is there. As I told you, the election system itself is problematic. We have the West and Europe, and they are all looking for alternate systems. They're looking for representative bureaucracy. They're looking for proportional representation of candidates in particular states and elections. They are all, because they know that this system is not working as a whole in totality. So there are different alternatives constantly being looked at, even from those countries that are considered to be developed or fully developed. Now, why are they looking at all these alternatives, and whom do they look at when they're looking at alternatives? Now, you will see they will look at an alternative civilization, which is India. Do they get it right? Do they not get it right? As I said, they have their own way of understanding, and they tend to invert principles and the kind of intent behind why it was set out in the first place in the Indic civilization. That intent and understanding is missing, and therefore they tend to subvert or invert and have a totally different understanding of what the intent of this traditional government system was. They come with their own biases and lenses of they are conflict oriented, as I said. They look for conflicts in each and every system. They look for conflicts in each and every relationship. You see, all their theories are conflict based. There is nothing that talks about a synergy or a synchronization. Our civilization is synchronicity oriented. It looks to sync, it looks to harmonize, समन्वय का जो है उनका वो होता है. But these civilizations, which are the alternate ones, they mostly look at it from a conflict point of view. So wherever they don't find conflict, they find themselves, totally like a deer, in flashlights. उनको ऐसे लगता है कि कैसे हो सकता है कि कोई civilization में कोई conflict nahi hai, because you see their history, it is very, gruesome, the way they have led their thing. But we have always had a history of civility, synchronization, harmony, circular effect, etc., etc. That's the perspective that we keep. And that's why you see unity and diversity is something that people look at India only, when they talk about it. So how did we manage these conflicting, or these different ideas and opinions and still have a harmonious approach to it? It is because there is a dharmic lens that has to be formed, of understanding, of empathizing, of of kind of harmonizing and seeing that where are the commonalities, more than looking at where are the differences. Even in relationships, that we have this tendency, which is the Indic tendency, to overlook the differences or the bad things, character flaws in somebody, try to look at the good faults. Generally हमारा tone ये होता है कि बस ये करता है, वैसे तो बहुत अच्छा इंसान है. That is our tendency to look at the divinity in the other person. The Western civilization is mostly, about man is evil, man is a social animal. You read the Abrahamic, religious texts, you will see that Adam and Eve ka story and others, you give a human being an opportunity and he will only choose to be evil. He will only choose to disregard, the Almighty. That is the narrative that you see there. But when you look at our texts, when you look at, the Indic scriptures and texts, they all, we have Mahavakyas, which say Tattvam Asi, Aham Brahmasmi, all those things. It means that there is divinity in me. We look at the other being as an ansh of the divine. Uh, then the gunas and the tattvas come in. So wherever there is a percentage of tamas to be more in somebody because of his past sanskaras or karmas, he might tend to have a more tamasic approach. But that doesn't deny that there is a divine residing in him also, because Paramatma has the tattva. I'm just telling you the different approaches that these two civilizations have towards human beings as a whole, and how that affects their entire scientific approach, as they say. Their entire theoretical building blocks are based on these kind of tendencies. What works and what doesn't work, it's very clear to see how one manages conflicting viewpoints and interests, and the other is unable to manage that, because it comes from a place of hatred for mankind, that mankind is only born to be evil. You have to keep him under control. There's no chance of reformation. This person does not reform. Human beings are horrible. So that is not our Indic or Dharmic viewpoint. We see the divine in the other person and give them opportunities. If they choose to resign to the tamasic or the rajasic thing more, then you have ways to get rid of them also. And that is also letting them free so that they can get a better birth maybe in the next life. You are freeing them. उनका उद्धार होता है. जब भी हमारे देवी देवता किसी का संहार करते हैं, किसी असुर का या किसी उसका who is causing harm, वो कहते हैं कि हमने उद्धार किया, and they are also very happy that they are being annihilated by the divine themselves, who gets that great opportunity. That is how we look at things. How is this concept different? It is so that you have an opportunity to give opportunities to reform, because there is divinity in the other person. Person does not choose to reform, causes ruckus, causes destruction in society, causes harm to everybody. If you are in a position that you can rectify this and bring harmony back into society, you take those actions. You will not be held guilty, or there is no problem in it. So these kind of tendencies you see repeated all over, whether it's the Mahabharata, whether it's the Ramayana, whether it's all the other texts. Vedas may be wars hote hain, battles hote hain. Usme bhi the same pattern is repeated. The theories then that are built, psychological theories, behavioral theories, they all say that आप human being को छोड़ो तो वो घटिया काम ही करेगा. This is the West, the theoretical approach. But in India, you will always say that human birth has come after a lot of great deeds, and so you should make it is the only birth that takes you to moksha. These kind of patterns are there. How you become a good human being, how you are supposed to dutifully live, how you are supposed to be contributive, productive. All our texts only talk about those things: achar, vyavahar, and prayashchit. आप उसको फॉलो करें, वही धर्म, you can choose to follow it. If you don't choose to follow it, then you should be prepared for the consequences. That's all. So these are some things which are very clear cut, and these approaches or viewpoints or worldviews affect the theories that they build. So coming back to this, you will see that all these governance models also that have been built, not coming organically from India, but from outside, they are all control based. They are all having this approach that you cannot let people below you take decisions. You cannot allow them to run free. They will create a ruckus. They will be stupid. You are the almighty. You are supposed to take all the decisions, so on and so forth. You see that replicating even in the local governance panchayat system. So here you have the Gram Sabha where the election system comes in. Now I've talked about the evils of the election system, where people have come into cutthroat competition. Earlier there was a selection process. आपके गांव में यदि कोई बहुत आचार वाले व्यक्ति हैं, 5-10 होंगे, 4 होंगे, 3 होंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. You are free to put their name on a chit and they will be selected. But they have been chosen on the basis of their family lineage, on the status that they hold, on how much they're contributing to the village economy, overall economy. Are they responsible citizens? Are they accountable citizens? Are they citizens of good standing, good steed, who always have a divine intention to help people whenever they are in need? All these kinds of things came in when people chose their leaders to lead the village governance system and decide on on disputes, etc. Now when the election system comes in, it comes into who has the most monetary power. How you get that money? Maybe you are a criminal, maybe you're doing business, maybe money is not a problem. How you're getting it, what kind of sources are there, that is the main deciding factor. So whoever has the most money to splurge and to compete, cutthroat competition in elections and do all kinds of activities in order to get the votes, whether it can be violence, it can be bribing, it can be threatening, it can be whatever, uh, as compared to a set other person who must have done wonderful work but does not have the money to splurge and to kind of get people on their side, or ट्रक्स भर के बाहर से लेकर आए, वोटिंग करवाएं, all that things. So elections bring in a lot of mostly lot of hooliganism and cutthroat horrible competition, which then breaks the very fabric of the society, and you end up having no option but choosing these particular people because they are right in your face. And the other person who does not have this kind of thing is unfortunately left behind, and people can't do anything because also there are many reasons. People don't have money, people there's no employment, nothing. So people take it's a circle. People take advantage of that, and that's why this poverty is taken benefit of in these kind of buying of votes. So it's a perpetual kind of a thing that is kept alive. Now the other thing, now you see the block level and the Zilla Parishad. What is the membership side? So यहाँ ग्राम सभा में ऐसे चुन के आ गए. Now you are seeing some good patterns where people from educated backgrounds, from cities and from all that, they are now coming in and fighting the elections and becoming panchayat heads and all that. Even women, you will see, where from maybe living abroad, they have a dedication, love to their village, they come back and they fight and they become. So a lot of great stories coming in now who are trying to make this system work in the best possible way. So hope that trend continues. On the block and the Zilla Parishad level, you will see that a lot of representation is of the local MLAs and MPs who are in that particular membership of the block as well as the Zilla Parishad. Who has asked for this interference of these people into that? Why are they sitting there? And they are not even chosen by the people. They are chosen by overall, I mean, the constituency, everything. So what business do they have to sit in that? That is a very contested thing. Now they get a certain amount in the MP lad allotment, and how they choose to use that, kitna use hota hai, aadhe se zyada to use hi nahi hota hai. There's a lot of corruption that happens with that money, and mostly used in election canvassing and campaigning for their own purposes and all that. There are reports on the internet. I don't even have to go into details. If you just look the corruption in the MP lads allotment that has been happening. You will understand that. Then when you go into the Zilla Parishad, this means mostly bureaucracy dominated. And the panchayat members and sarpanch and all that, they are ex officio members. But there is a clear dominance of the bureaucracy. So this is where the stagnation and stifling of, the minority, these people go into a minority kind of system because they are dependent. Now, here comes in the other angle, the lack of funds. 95% of the funds, they are dependent on the center and the state. So the arms that they give in the form of grants is what runs these constitutional and democratic 73rd Amendment Panchayat Raj institutions. So आप कुछ बोल भी नहीं सकते इन सब मीटिंग्स में क्योंकि 95% तो इन्हीं से आना है फंड्स आपके अपने से तो कुछ जनरेट हो नहीं रहा है maybe 3% 4% you are able to collect taxes locally and but उससे कोई गुजारा तो होगा नहीं तो now here comes these issues आप बोलेंगे भी तो बोलेंगे आपको हम फंड्स नहीं लेट आउट करेंगे अभी पीछे मोदी जी ने जब वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर बने 2015-16 he directly transferred from the center to the local governments bypassing the states there was a big uproar how can you bypass you have to come through us because why are you having an issue if it is going directly to them जाना तो उनके पास ही है no but you will have to come through us because then how will you show your dabdaba on these local institutions if it is going directly from the center. So all these things make these institutions very untenable. The rest, I can send reports, papers, and all that talk about these issues and details. But having said all that, these are the two different, these are the major reasons where we don't see eye to eye in both the traditional and the constitutional bodies. How was it different in the traditional bodies? You selected your own people at the local level, जिसमें लोगों को पता था वो किसको चुन रहे हैं, कौन चुन रहे हैं, और वो अपनी सहमति से, and when you have the autonomy to choose your own representative, आपका उनसे personal एक लगाव भी होता है क्योंकि आपने चुना है. And you will listen to them and you will know who you are choosing. When you go on to the higher level where this gram head then reports to the block level or bunch of villages, so there is just a nominal head where he is only taking reports from the lower people. He is not telling them what to do, and then he is passing that on to the king. So that it is only an information transfer that is happening. It is not a directions and goals that is being passed on from top to them. So that kind of autonomy that was happening, which is not happening, unfortunately, today under the constitutional bodies. If that gives a clear overview of the critique of the constitutional bodies vis-a-vis the traditional bodies, or would you like some more explanation? If anybody would like to put forward or ask for some more explanation, then I can go into some more details also. Please let me know.
Yes, if anybody wants more insights on the same topic, then you can type in the chat box or unmute yourself. If there is anything that you have not understood from any of the previous 4 sessions, that also can be discussed before Tanya ji would move on to the next topic. Yes, anybody?
Okay. Please do type in.
Yeah, or just keep your questions typed in the chat box so that we can take them at the end. Yes, Varsha ji has put in a question. Any example of constitutional restriction?
As I just mentioned, this particular example, Varsha ji, where Modi ji, as a prime minister, transferred directly from the center, which was always demanded to the 2015 की ही बात है. Directly पंचायत को उन्होंने उनके funds transfer किए थे. बहुत बड़ा अप्रोर हुआ था. आप नहीं कर सकते ऐसे. States ने बोला, state government, आप नहीं कर सकते. एक process है, एक system है, आप उसको follow करिए. आप हमको दीजिए पहले. ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन तो दे नहीं रहा है. प्राइम मिनिस्टर कर सकते हैं यदि करना चाहे तो, बट जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस इटसेल्फ है कि आप सेटअप करेंगे पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशंस, देखिए पहले से ही है ना ट्रेडिशनल पंचायत सिस्टम, आपने उन्हीं को नहीं क्यों आगे बढ़ने दिया? जैसे वो चल रहे हैं उनको स्टडी करते, उनको ही वो अलग से इंस्टीट्यूशंस बनाने का, इतना पैसा लगाने का, टाइम एंड रिसोर्सेज वेस्ट करने का, और वो 30 साल से नहीं चल रहे हैं ठीक से। बीमारू जैसे पीएसयूज थे, उनको भी गवर्नमेंट ने नवरत्न महारत्न का स्टेटस दिया, क्योंकि बीमारू थे, क्योंकि यही समस्या थी कि जो ब्यूरोक्रेटिक और पॉलिटिकल कंट्रोल इन पीएसयूज पे था, that was stifling their very growth and progress. So they chose to look at their past performance, because it was after the 1991 reforms जो privatization, globalization, liberalization का आया, तो इनको ये forcefully करना पड़ा, because there was a lot of push from outside also कि give them autonomy. ये जो PSUs है, इनको आप autonomy दीजिए इनके management में, कि इनके अपने लोग हो जो वहाँ पे इंटरव्यू से आए हैं, those who have been there by merit, they will make the day-to-day decisions. They don't have to go to the politician or the bureaucrat to take all kinds of things, because a lot of corruption was happening. So on the basis of that, these Bimaru, PSUs were then classified as Maharatna. Maharatna मतलब कितना autonomy उनको ज़्यादा दिया जाएगा. जो नवरत्न है उनको autonomy का certain percentage decision making का दिया जाएगा to the staff. And that is how they started becoming into better functioning institutions. So wherever you have a stranglehold of bureaucracy and political, even in the laws, labor laws, etc., a lot of, changes have been brought in there also in the industrial policy, etc., because this was the same problem. License permit Raj hota tha 91 se pehle. Everybody knows what kind of, issues that caused for our economy. So wherever this is there, and ये अभी पंचायत में तो बहुत बुरी तरह है, this bureaucratic and political problem. First of all, you shouldn't have established separate bodies altogether, जिसका कोई experience नहीं है, experiment नहीं किया आपने, pilot की तरह शुरू करते हैं, CDP fail हुआ, बहुत सारे committees fail हुए हैं, आपको उससे सबक लेना चाहिए था. You should have empowered. I don't use this term or I don't like it, but अगर आपको empowerment देने का इतना ही बड़ा जो है दिल है, मन है, तो इन्हीं को देते ना, ये ट्रेडिशनल पंचायत जो ऑलरेडी existing and working properly the. But then how will you maintain your political stronghold if you give it to these people? So multiple reasons, Varsha ji, if that answers your question. Then also there is this DRDA, which is the District Resolution and Dispute Center. Then there is this District Planning Committee, State Planning Committee, etc., which is supposed to be a participatory, kind of a issue where you will put in the plans from the districts and all that, and then it will merge with the state plan that it makes, and then it will merge with the National Planning Commission. Ab to nahi hai, ab to Niti Aayog hai, which is more like a think tank. It is not a planning body. So earlier, so now what happens that इनको bypass किया जाता था, these district planning committees. आधे से ज़्यादा time तो ये function ही नहीं करते थे. And whoever was taking decisions on the behalf of people were mostly the politicians and the bureaucrats in the district planning commissions or committees. So multiple ways that we can see that, these village people were left to fend for themselves. And it was taken as a private kind of a feudal kind of a way of functioning by the local politicians and the bureaucrats. If there is any question, or if that doesn't clarify, I can explain more if anybody has any further questions.
Great. I think we don't have any question at this moment, so we can go ahead and take questions at the end.
Okay, great. Yeah. So now we would like to move on to we've got a brief or overview of the constitutional bodies and the way they are functioning. Their reason for existence, their intention, etc., is pretty much clear. Let me tell you, I at one point was a very secular, modern, progressive, blah blah, kind of a person who grew up in cities, in metropolitans, and I also had the same viewpoint about people in villages, that we normally have that they are like, but with careful study, I've come to understand that it's actually the city dwelling people who have no idea, just like Britishers had no idea sitting in, in Britain and talking about India and saying, nasty things about them. Um, so I've changed my perspective on the basis of what I've understood. It is possible. You can unlearn many things. I was also somebody who believed that because I'm a student of public administration, there is a by default thing that the state is only the savior of everybody. A state only will save every private economy को भी वही save करेगा क्योंकि जनता से चुन के आए हैं उनको जवाब देना होता है blah 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 all this kind of thing. I think when I worked with different organizations who had different perspectives, it took a while to break down that perspective in my head and to understand that anything coming organically and from the local thing is actually the way to go forward. And there should be a very wholehearted collaborative or participatory. That is the duty of us and the state. It is not some great obligation that you are doing. Your whole purpose of governance is this. और बहुत समय मुझे भी लगा ये समझने में and if you are really a thinker for the betterment of society and everything, it is always best to keep updating and changing your viewpoint. Otherwise, it's no use of studying these kind of subjects, is what I have personally understood. And I'm trying my best in whatever little capacity I can. But yeah, I just wanted to give a disclaimer that no, I don't come from a traditional background. I don't come from a village background. I don't come from any of these. I दूर दूर तक मेरा कोई रिश्ता नहीं था. But I have made it. I have been around people. I have visited villages. I have seen what has been written by people from different civilizations. I have seen what our people have written. I have seen what people who have lived in villages. I have seen the current examples also, and it has changed my perspective to a great. So I just wanted to give that disclaimer to before I move forward. I would like to share my screen now in order to go into the existing traditional local governance panchayat institutions that are still functioning. It's a good start to start off with Arjun Kadian's video. I'll play that for everybody. Please let me know if the audio is clear. Let me share my screen 1 second. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Is the voice coming, Nitiji?
No. Voice will come only when you share tab. For audio sharing, you have to share the tab, not the entire screen.
Is it coming now?
No, we can't hear. We can only see the video. For video sharing, when you start sharing your screen, there is an option to share the tab, Chrome tab. And वहाँ पे आपको एक ऑडियो का बटन मिलेगा जिसको you have to tick mark on कर देना है उसको, and then we can hear the audio.
Katta in Tamil Nadu, Hali Panchayat in Karnataka,
अभी सुनाई
Dauki
दे
in
रहा है.
Maharashtra, Salishi in Bengal, Zumsa in Sikkim.
Can you start the
have
video
traced their
again?
origins to ancient tribal councils for dispute resolution mentioned in texts such as the Rig Veda. In regions they are most popular.
One second. Yeah. Let me share this again. 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Go to Chrome and select this.
The mainstream media portrays Khap Panchayats as consisting of illiterate prudes who want to enforce their outdated views of morality on young people in love. The mainstream media portrays Khap Panchayats as consisting of illiterate prudes who want to enforce their outdated views of morality on young people in love. But does the stereotype correspond with the reality? Let us explore. The Khap Panchayat is an ancient institution that was once prevalent all over India, but is now mostly associated with a handful of North Indian states, most prominently Haryana. There are also Kollam Panchayats in Odisha, Kotarkatta in Tamil Nadu, Hali Panchayat in Karnataka, Gauki in Maharashtra, Salishi in Bengal, Zumsa in Sikkim. Khaps trace their origins to ancient tribal councils for dispute resolution mentioned in texts such as the Rig Veda. In regions they are most popular today, Khaps once played a major role in fighting the excesses of tyrannical rulers. As a result, enslavement of women and children and the religious fanaticism of alien empires was firmly resisted at the ground level, and thus the prestige of the institution grew in these regions. Nawab Murad Ali of Kalanor forced young brides passing through his area to cohabit with him for the night. When brought to the notice of Khaps, they organized a force to kill the Nawab and ended the barbarous practice. The Khaps fought against the Huns in Multan, then for Prithviraj Chauhan at Taraudi against Muhammad Ghori. Later, fearing the barbarity of the Turks, they sided with Razia Sultan in a succession war. When Alauddin Khilji imposed heavy jizya or tax on non-Muslims, they bravely fought the royal army at the confluence of rivers Hindon and Kali near Delhi. An alliance of Khaps was instrumental in checking Timur's advance. On Peshwa Sadashiv Bhau's request, the Sarv Khap under Gannat Rai allied with the Marathas against Ahmad Shah Abdali. Thousands of Khap soldiers under Chaudhry Shiolal were martyred at Panipat. Khaps continue to be valued and preserved in the villages despite the toxic rhetoric against them, propagated by the English language media. They established norms that give the poor an equal footing in social affairs. They cap the number of gifts and dowries the bride should give, limit the size of the barat, give women a right to patrimonial property, and encourage family planning. Khaps have demanded murder charges for female feticides and solved property disputes between brothers, cousins, and sometimes branches of families having distant common ancestors. These disputes are often settled in single sittings, do not involve heavy expenditure or advanced legal knowledge. Jean's Kheda Khap, which comprises of 24 villages of Uchana, recently decided not to use caste as a surname in an effort to do away with the caste-based discriminations. Adjudicators inside the Khap undergo a review by the litigants similar to a 360-degree appraisals in modern corporates. The better rated adjudicators are invited in the higher gatherings based on community recommendations. These higher Khap bodies meet when an issue transcends a geographical jurisdiction or involves people under different parallel Khap bodies. Khaps provide fair and speedy resolution locally. They are conducted in the open for everyone to participate, run on low cost, and focus on mediation and conciliation. Since the hearings are within the village in front of the community, it is easy to bring forth evidence and witnesses and difficult to perform perjury. Moreover, these hearings are conducted in the local language, which makes the process of justice delivery comprehensible to the last person. Thus, Khap Panchayats are result-oriented and less inclined to delay justice on account of confusion over abstract theories. Now, if the Khaps are so effective and benevolent, why are they defamed by the English language media? Let me hazard a guess. I think it is so because the global corporate media outlets have reached a stage where their very survival is dependent on sensationalism. Moreover, their perspective is often tainted by colonial biases. Thus, errors are depicted as atrocities, exceptions are portrayed as the norm, the rural is imagined savage, and the Khaps are shown as kangaroo courts. The same old prejudice trope of the regressive nature of the institution, repeated many times over, taints the mindset of naive spectator. But the reality is starkly different. And we find that alternative justice delivery systems are not just found in India, but all over the world, especially in the post-colonial states. In Africa, the failure of colonial institutions often led to massacres, and the UN had to mandate using indigenous justice mechanism that originated in the local culture. Accordingly, in Malawi, between 80 and 90% of all disputes are processed through customary justice forums. In Sierra Leone, approximately 85% of the population are subjected to their own indigenous laws. Customary tenure covers 75% of land in most African countries, affecting 90% of land transactions in countries like Mozambique and Ghana. The current Western vision of social institutions artificially separates individuals from each other and their ecosystem. This is an outdated view that once inspired a European media outlet to enthusiastically dub the smell of pollution as the scent of modernity. This view is not just outdated, it is dangerous because it creates a system that disempowers communities and makes them fragile. It centralizes the justice delivery system, rendering it sluggard, insensitive, and inefficient. It alienates common citizens as its jurisprudence is based on a philosophical framework that the masses don't relate to, much less admire and internalize. Our people don't need sermons of progress from TV panelists. We need a resolution of conflicts and closure. We need justice, and CAPS deliver it with silent but striking efficiency. This is Arjun Singh Kadian for Upward.
Yes, I think that fairly sums up what can be told in 15-20 minutes. I think 6 minutes of Arjun Kadian's video kind of sums it up. Yes, if you want more about this, I think his book, The Land of Gods, is something that one can definitely read. But yes, what he talks about fighting against colonial, colonial excesses and Islamic invasions is absolutely recorded in history also. Not only the Khaps, but even in the south, the traditional panchayat systems. Like I mentioned in the first and second session, every village head or Gramani or Gramavadin, they had a police system and a small army that they always maintained, which was funded by the people because villages were very progressive. I remember there is a mention by a foreign traveler about 1,000 years ago, where they talk about 100 villages had pledged to, support the Nalanda University. They told the king and they told the monks that you don't need to, bother about anything. These 100 villages will, their taxes have been, the king has, kind of diverted the taxes to, so there was so much of excess. So those taxes of those 100 villages were taking care of Nalanda University's monks. How these villages were so advanced and abundant and progressing and having all kinds of money to donate also apart from their own needs. This is because there was a system of economy, there was a system of jurisprudence, there was a system of that was set up and it was being adhered to. Nobody had to move out of their villages and they were very proud village people. Apart from that, when we also kind of look at these institutions, we also see in the ancient past, many of them have pledged to donate many things to setting up schools, setting up this. There are multiple examples that one can go into if one reads anything that is written about the local governance systems that were prevalent in local economic governance as well as the society system that was already there. What kind of systems these were, I went into a brief overview. If you want to read something more about this, I would suggest reading a book which is titled Malana. Malana is this ancient village said to be set up by Jamdagni, Rishi Jamdagni, and it's an ancient village in, I think it's in Uttarakhand, Malana. And Jamlu is the local deity, and till date, in front of him, transactions are made. In front of him, marriages take place. In front of him, all kinds of people are very fearful of this deity because they believe that divine justice prevails. And Malana is a city of great, great stories that a lot of foreign researchers have come and tried to settle and understand this. So this book is titled Malana, a political economy of a Himalayan region. So this is one book. It is written by one Colin Rossier, I think his name is, Malana, Political Economy of a Himalayan Region. Yes, this book that Nidhi ji has just shared. Can read about it. Amazing, kind of insights that one will get on how this, local economy still functions. If you want some more books that you would like to look into from the economic perspective and how these local traditional governance bodies are outdoing, the so-called constitutional democratic systems that have been set up, and how people still put their trust and put their money and everything into it. There are a few other books that I will recommend. Caste as Social Capital and India Unincorporated by Professor R. Vaidyanathan. Caste as Social Capital and India Unincorporated. Yes, these two. He is a professor of IIM, I think, Bangalore. And he's written these two wonderful books, very insightful. And there's one more by Professor P. Kanagasabapati. He is also an IIM professor, very renowned. He's written this book called Indian Models of Economy, Management, and Economy, Business, and Management. Indian Models of Economy, Business, and Management. Yes, this is the name of the book, Professor Kanagasabapati, P. Kanagasabapati. And he traces he was also earlier a disbeliever of, the power of village, ingenuity and all those, because he had also this colonial education and viewpoint. But he says that when he went in, to the villages and understood, he came out with a different perspective, and the outcome is this book. Then there is Professor S. Gurumurthy, also, who has written a number of wonderful books on this Indian models of economy, which are our own indigenous systems, which are still surviving till today and doing very well, by the way, for these village people and communities. So in this book, Indian Models of Economy, Business and Management, Professor P. Kanagasabapati, and the other books by Professor R. Vaidyanathan, they have traced, the chronology from thousands of years continuing till today, in business matters, in economy matters, in these rural areas, and how they are outperforming, these so-called modern economy or governance bodies. So that will be a good read, which I would recommend these three books to read, to understand that the history of our own indigenous economy and how it is still surviving today through these very traditional institutions. Now, coming to understanding this, these books are more focused on the southern area of India, as well as the western, and this thing, and so and so. It covers mostly the southern part, as well as some parts of the other directions of India. So recommend that you read them. I have very less time to go through the details, so I'm trying to make it as brief as possible. Now, coming to this particular case that Madhu Kishwar fought on behalf of the Khaps in the Supreme Court, which I had mentioned in the first or second, sessions. She has put out a series of tweets, not recently. It has been, she has put it out in, I think, 5 years ago when the judgment came out. I would like to share the screen and show that. Better to see her tweets instead of me talking about it. Since I have worked with her, I consider myself her Shishya, because I worked with her and I have understood her viewpoint, and she has cleared a lot of my own questions and doubts that I always kept popping up in front of her. So I consider it my duty to carry forward and her work and her legacy. The book hasn't come out yet, so I'll make do with the tweets that she's put out. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay. Is this screenshot visible?
Maybe you can expand.
Yes, ma'am.
Just
Visible.
yeah, visible, visible.
I will try. So this is her Twitter, of which I've taken some screenshots. You can read whatever is written here if you can take your time. Um, Allow me to read if you want. Among dishonest acts committed by evangelical plant Shakti Vahini, which was the NGO that put this case in the Supreme Court in 2012-13. So she writes, among dishonest acts committed by evangelical plant Shakti Vahini is that they didn't make any Khap Panchayat party to the PIL in Supreme Court, which was seeking ban on Khaps. For 3 years, the case against Khaps, argued by foreign-funded NGOs, she writes it in brief, FFNGO, foreign-funded NGO lawyers heard in absentia till Manushi, which is her organization, intervened on behalf of the Khaps. Supreme Court merely heard foreign-funded NGOs lawyers against Khaps without insisting that Khaps also be made a party to it. The Law Commission ended up drafting a new law also at the behest of these foreign-funded NGOs with the intent of banning all Khap assemblies without bothering to give even a token hearing to the Khaps. Government councils dutifully played along. Read this report of US Congress Human Rights Commission, where Shakti Vahini's Ravi Kant, who heads it, testifies against India, crafting the most nauseating narrative as though torturing women is the most favorite national sport in India. This is the report that she has tagged the global gender-based violence threat, Tom Lantos human. See, this is how these reports are used, where they will show that Nepal is doing better in democracy as compared to India, and Pakistan is doing better. This we them and all these things. You see why this is done is because if you do a Google search, or if you do a Chat GPT also search, these reports are the source to pop up information. It is a very well crafted kind of strategy that these reports are planted. So she gives this report where she says that this foreign funded NGO Shakti Vahini, which had lodged the PIL in the first place, and it was evangelical in its nature, which means that they were probably trying to convert Haryana into a certain religion. So this was a plant, and she backs it up with evidence. Her book that will be coming out will have it in more detail. She says in this report, this person who heads this foreign-funded NGO, Shakti Vahini, Ravi Kant, he writes here that as if torturing women is the favorite sport or time pass of people in India. And there also he talks about a particular community, by the way, and then about these traditional governance bodies, how they kind of enhance it or support it. This was his whole narrative in this report. So then she writes that with the backing of powerful church organizations and crores in bank, this Shakti Vahini manipulated the Women's Commission to funded spurious studies against the Khaps. That study is so shoddy that it would get fail marks if presented as MA tutorial in any decent university. I have presented a full critique of this study to the Supreme Court. Sadly, even the Supreme Court swallowed the junk that was presented in the study of these, Women Commission and these reports. They swallowed it as it is, accepted it, because the political clout of this foreign-funded NGO, which is also on payroll of Hillary Clinton-connected donor agency, Indian media too eats out of the hands of these foreign-funded NGOs. That's why no coverage to expose mischief by foreign-funded NGOs. No self-respecting community or society allows foreign agents with devious agendas to run its affairs, enact laws, allow NGOs that run global campaigns to defame the country at behest of hostile outsiders. Government of India also afraid of their clout. That's why Law Minister also doesn't take on these foreign-funded NGOs. That is a small snapshot that you could see in the tweets. When her book releases, there will be, or you can read her readings also. Just put in the keyword Madhu Kishwar Khap Panchayats, you will get some of her newspaper writings also. The main reason for many of these attacks on Khaps is because they were stopping missionary and other conversion activities, etc., etc. So that is one viewpoint that I would like to put across. Apart from that, I think the books that I have recommended, also the video that Arjun Singh Kadian's video, where he talks about how errors are, as if to say the current judicial bodies never they send people to jail. Some are even hanged, and then after that they come to know that they were actually innocent. But do we shun these? Do we burn these institutions? Do we cancel them out? No, we are still going to them. What gives them this legitimacy? Because there is a narrative that is built that errors happen. So what? But the same errors, which are much lesser in number and are not as dangerous as passed on by these bodies, uh, they are taken as if to say it is do or die. मतलब आपने ये error किया तो इसको बस इसको खत्म करो, बैन करो, बर्न करो, कैंसिल करो. पर आपका पुलिस सिस्टम अभी भी चल रहा है, आपका जुडिशरी सिस्टम अभी भी चल रहा है. Nobody says, because the narrative is so powerful that होता है, they're human beings, so what? They can give wrong judgments. किसी की पूरी जिंदगी बर्बाद हो जाए. What is the percentage of that also has to be seen. But no, it's okay, it happens. These are collateral damages. That's how it's told. But these traditional institutions who do, maybe small error, it will be shown as ये यही ही करते हैं, इनका काम ही यही है. Exceptions are shown as norms. अगर इन्होंने कुछ obnoxious judgment दिया तो ऐसा ही करते हैं, ये तो norm ही है इनका. This is not an exception, this is norm. ये ऐसा ही करते हैं, इनको काम ही यही है. So this kind of narrative is mischievously passed on. And there are many good things like Arjun Singh Kadian, even Madhuji has put out, where they have given very progressive decisions. Most of it, they have listed, the majority of it, and they are all very, very good decisions, like limiting the number of people in the barats, the number of dowry items that you are going to give, or if you don't want to give, or what kind of these kind of very, very other things also. Now they talk about that noodles should be banned, right? One of the Khaps had come out with this. Noodles, cause something where we all know what noodles do to everybody's head, right? It causes dementia also. This Ajinomoto and noodles, it is not good for the health. It causes some kind of, neurological or, some kind of physical and psychological defect also if you are eating it too much. So they say it in their own language. कि जो इनको समझ में आया, जो इन्होंने न्यूज में सुना, जो इन्होंने कि ये जो है पागल कर देता है या ऐसे हॉर्मोन्स को अप एंड डाउन कर देता है. सो दे से बैन नूडल्स इन द विलेज. यू शुड बी हैप्पी, नूडल्स बैन कर रहे हैं. इट्स अ हॉरिबल थिंग. इट शुड नॉट बी गिवन टू चिल्ड्रन. And Haryana, as you know, is very diet conscious. They eat very healthy stuff. All the wrestlers are mostly vegetarians and they eat all heavy protein stuff. And also they are very concerned about their, diet of their children. So they say ban noodles because, it causes some hormone imbalance, whatever. That is their way of saying it. But see for what is the outcome of it? They're banning noodles. Good है ना? हम भी अपने बच्चों को noodles नहीं देते हैं. So I think we have to look at the perspective. We have to give them some leeway also. You cannot, call them uneducated and backward and then also expect them to have, some kind of modern, outlook. वो बोलेंगे अपने भाषा में बोलेंगे. आप किसी हाउस हेल्प से बात करें, किसी कैब ड्राइवर से, टैक्सी ड्राइवर से जो क्लीन करने आते हैं, उनसे बात करें, या कोई लेबरर से कि नूडल्स खाने चाहिए, बोलेंगे नहीं नहीं हमने तो सुना है खराब है. क्यों खराब है पता नहीं, ऐसे. They will give some reason but they will not eat it. Can you blame them? But at least they are saying a good thing. Leave it. No need to give your tark vitark and your great gyan to these people. As long as they are doing the same thing, the outcome is the same. So this is something that the perspective has to always be that. By the way, I came across a very interesting paper on JSTOR recently. What is the title of that? I must tell you the title. And it is considered to be a very good paper, and people are recommending it in even foreign universities and elite universities in our country also. I'll give you the name of it. One second. Yes, the name of that paper is Shame and Guilt in India: Declining Social Control and the Role of Education. Can you see the title? Shame and Guilt in India: डिक्लाइनिंग सोशल कंट्रोल, वो कहते हैं समाज का कंट्रोल कम हो रहा है लोगों पे.
We can't see your screen, Tanya ji.
Yeah, but I'm not sharing. I was just telling. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay,
Yeah, so
I thought, yeah, I'll check out on JSTOR and share it, the link.
Yeah, I think it is on Sage Journals, if I'm correct. Yes. So on Sage, it is.
Can
That
you
is
repeat the title?
Yes, I'll just repeat it 1 second. Shame and guilt in India, declining social control, and the role of education.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So आपको अगर मतलब समझ में आ रहा है तो वो यही कह रहे हैं कि शर्म नाम की चीज खत्म हो रही है, गिल्ट नाम की चीज खत्म हो रही है, क्योंकि समाज का जो कंट्रोल लोगों पे होता था वो खत्म हो रहा है, उसको वापस लाना चाहिए और इसको एजुकेशन के थ्रू जो है वापस लाना चाहिए. आप समझ रहे हैं, पहले आप खुद ही समाज को, सोसाइटी को विलेन बताइए, क्यों समाज की सुननी है, खत्म करो इसको, सुनो मत समाज की, बाढ़ में जाए समाज, so on and so forth. अभी आप बोल रहे हैं कि उसी समाज को वापस लाओ, कम से कम मोरालिटी और एथिक्स को तो प्रिजर्व करते थे, so on and so forth. So this is something that we need to keep in account when we these are the kind of papers that are coming back by the issue, and it is being recommended. So yes, any questions, queries? I think for today I've completed.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that interesting paper. I'm sure all of us can read it and probably get together for a discussion on the paper. That would be really interesting. In between, Jayashri ji has also shared a link about CAP. So thank you so much, Jayashri ji, for sharing that. I will be sharing the titles of the books that Tanya ji shared. The three books, first is Malana, Political Economy of a Himalayan Region, two books by Professor R. Vaidyanathan, Caste as Social Capital and India Unincorporated, and one book by Professor P. Kanaga Sabhapati. I will share it in the group immediately. So yes, we are now open for questions. I just wanted to draw the participants' attention to the recent developments in Nepal, developments in Bangladesh last year. Varsha ji has done some interesting videos on her channel about this issue, and Sri Lanka and the fallout in their economy. So three neighboring countries in our region, they have shown dissatisfaction and frustration, especially the young people, with their democratically elected governments. ये मुझे लगता है बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग डेवलपमेंट है हमारे रीजन में, क्योंकि हमारे नेबरहुड में हम ही स्टेबल हैं, जिनके पास एक स्टेबल स्ट्रॉन्ग सरकार है. बट तीनों जो अभी ये देश हैं, इनमें जिस तरह के डेवलपमेंट्स हो रहे हैं, उसका कारण ऑफ कोर्स इट कुड बी डिफरेंट. Bangladesh has a different context right now. What is happening in Nepal? Look at right now what is happening in France, which, by the way, had a left of center government, and they had doled out all kinds of welfare and social justice schemes. And look at what is happening there. The citizens there are very, very unhappy because the government has cut down on some welfare measures. तो एक अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा जी ने एक टर्म यूज किया था कि जो इंडियन स्टेट है दैट हैज इन्फेंटलाइज्ड, मतलब इन्फेंटलाइज्ड कर दिया है, बच्चों की तरह हमें ट्रीट करता है, और स्टेट फील्स दैट एवरीथिंग एज अ पेरेंट, एज अ बिग डैडी ओनली इट कैन टेल अस, एंड we don't have any common sense or reasoning or discretion of our own. So yes, Varsha ji has raised her hand. Go ahead, Varsha ji.
Thank you, Nidhi ji. I want to know the opinion of Tanya ji that what changes the government, the present government has brought in the villages. One example or a few examples of that, they changed the criteria or whatever the what can say the rules for the Padma Shri awardees. And in the few years, we have seen that the village people are getting recognized through these Padma awards. Just like Thimapka from Karnataka, she was awarded with Padma Shri for having that huge plantation of banyan tree. Then Tulsi Gowda, the mother of forest. Then Pratapra Pawar, also from village. Then Rani Bai Popere, she is called as the seed mother. So these are few examples that what the government, present government is doing, as well as recognizing the village people for their excellent and extraordinary work. Are you? I'm audible.
Yes, yes, Varshaji. I was on mute actually. Yes, there is a lot of awards that are being given to indigenous people and people coming from tribes and villages, etc. That is something which is commendable. Yes, of course, that they are also on the equal platform. However, the changes that are being brought in the village side, I'm not very. I cannot give you any examples that the systematic change has been
Yeah.
brought or not. No.
Right. But what I feel that now that the village people, they are working really in a very good manner for sustainable development rather than the cities.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if all these people who have been given these awards have fought against all odds and have fought against the very governmental institutions and with the community support, and it is only the community that has indigenously supported these people, and they have been able. The Chipko movement is one example. It comes out from the very root of indigenous practices, where you see the local community coming forward to protect nature, and that to women, and they were tying rakhis on the trees.
Trees, yes.
जो चिपको movement हुआ था. These are how indigenous communities, local communities fight tyranny, because they respect and love nature. Now, when we talk about pollution of rivers and other bodies, we will mostly see this happening near rivers which are having heavy tourist traffic.
Yeah.
So it is not the local or the village population who is causing this kind of pollution. It is these so-called tourists who are coming and causing the pollution. If it was the local or the village people doing it, तो भरा पड़ा होता ये जो pollution. It would have been multiple times than what it is now. So that's why many local and village people have in fact fought against this tourism that is happening, the blind tourism.
Yes.
Also, these other river bodies that we see in foreign countries, where it seems to be very clean and very pristine, and people are kind of taking. These are all dead rivers, unhealthy rivers है. नीचे cement पूरा भरा पड़ा है. ये living rivers नहीं है. They are not living bodies. They are dead bodies. But the Indian rivers are living rivers. There are multiple reports by the the United Nations themselves, and also European bodies and all, which talk about how these rivers are 93% of the European rivers are unhealthy and they are dead. Like आप पिएंगे उसको तो आपका कोई nutritional value नहीं, आप पी भी नहीं सकते because they are dead. Thames is also one example of that. So the living rivers are still surviving because the local people are still protecting it. You speak to any local person who is a village person, they believe a lot in nature, in dharma, in deities. वही इसको जागृत करके रखे हुए हैं. And they believe in karma, they believe in dharma, etc., etc. They will give you wonderful philosophies of life. They don't even know they're giving deep philosophies. उनको तो ये regular way of life लगता है. So that is the kind of perspective also that I wanted to give. Yes, but a lot has to be done still in systematic changes at the ground level.
Yes, I hope, Varsha ji is saying thank you. Great. Anybody else? Other participants, you also please ask questions. Jai Shri ji, Suresh ji, Sanjogita ji, Poonam ma'am, Raj sir, Jyotirani ji. Any questions, insights? We can spend 5 more minutes if we have questions.
मैं ना तान्या के निधि मैम, मैं तान्या ने जो डॉक्टर तान्या ने जो एक बात कही है ना कि समाज को, सोसाइटी को, हम वो सोसाइटी जो पहले कभी हुआ करती थी एथिकल वैल्यूज वाली, वो अब नहीं रही है। तो पहले भी ऐसे ही था, आपने वो गाना सुना होगा कि कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातों को। तो ये जो चीज है ना कि हम जो एथिकल सोसाइटी बनाना चाहते हैं, वो तो शायद जैसे कि विमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करते हैं ना, तो हम तो विमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात, मैं छोटी थी मेरे ख्याल से तब से हम स्कूल में खड़े होके विमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करते थे, वो आज तक चला आ रहा है। विमेन एम्पावरमेंट के नाम पे विमेन घर भी देख रही है, बच्चे भी देख रही हैं और नौकरी भी कर रही है। विमेन एम्पावरमेंट में ये एम्पावरमेंट आई है एम्पावरमेंट के नाम पर। ऐसे ही जब हम सोसाइटी की एथिकल वैल्यूज की बात करते हैं ना, तो वो सोसाइटी की तो एथिकल वैल्यूज की हम क्या बोले, यहाँ पर पड़ोसी को नहीं देखना चाहता कि वो ये पूछता है, अच्छा तुम्हारा बेटा कौन सी क्लास में पढ़ता है, उसको इसमें एडमिशन नहीं मिला, मतलब अपनी तरफ नहीं, दूसरे के घर में क्या दिक्कत है ये ज्यादा जानते हैं। तो कहते हैं ना, बड़े बूढ़े कहा करते थे कि जो दूसरे समाज में ना कोई अपने दुख से दुखी नहीं, दूसरे के सुख से दुखी है। तो वो एथिकल वैल्यूज कहाँ से आएंगे, क्योंकि हम तो वो सोसाइटी, वो चीज अब रह ही नहीं गई है। यहाँ तो पता ही नहीं चलता पड़ोस में किसके घर में क्या है, अगर पता चलता अरे उनके घर में डेथ हो गई, 5 दिन बाद पता चलता है। तो ये अब वो चीजें, अब वही समाज, वो चीज नहीं रह गई जो हमने कभी अपने बचपन में देखा था। आजकल ये डिजिटल मीडिया, ये घर में बैठे बैठे सारा कुछ बच्चों को मिलना, ये किया तो ब्लिंकेट से सामान आ गया, ये किया तो जोमेटो से खाना आ गया। वो कहा माँ खाना, पहले माँ खाना बना के खिलाती थी प्यार से, बेटा खाना खा ले तू भूखा आया। आज क्या, आज माँ काम कर रही है, घर में काम वाली भाई है, वो खाना बना रही है पता नहीं किस भाव से। तो वो चीजें, वो एथिकल वैल्यूज वो अब कहाँ आ जाएंगी। ठीक कह रही हूँ ना तान्या बेटा?
पूनम जी, सबसे पहले तो मैं डॉक्टर नहीं हूँ।
कोई बात नहीं, मेरी तरफ से डॉक्टर हो आप इतना अच्छा पढ़ाती हो। आज मैं देख नहीं पाई, हमारे घर में कोई आया था, मैं जुड़ नहीं पाई, जैसे ही वो गए मैं तुरंत जुड़ गई। मुझे इतना अच्छा लगता है ना आप जो बोलते हो ना, मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा। हम सुनते थे आपका जो आप बोलते हो, अब हम डायरेक्टली आपसे जुड़ के हम सीख रहे हैं। हर एज में सीखा जाता है, जरूरी नहीं कि आपकी एज में। हम तो इस एज, वी आर लर्निंग एट द एज ऑफ 60 ऑल्सो, क्योंकि लर्निंग तो हमेशा चलती रहती है। तो ये वाली बात है। तो ये ऐसी बात नहीं, आपसे बहुत चीजें सीखने को मिलती है। तो आप मेरे लिए डॉक्टर हो।
आपका इलाज भी अगर करना हो तो मैं आ जाऊंगी।
मेरा इलाज आप मन से कर दो, इतना अच्छा पढ़ाते हो, बहुत अच्छे टीचर हो आप।
नहीं, दैट वाज जस्ट अ जोक। बट पूनम जी, आपने मुझे बेटा बोला, देखिए यही जो एथिक्स है ना, ये अभी भी जीवित है। आपने
हाँ।
मुझे मन से बेटा बोला, मैंने उसको अपनाया, मुझे अच्छा लगा। मैं एथिक्स थोड़े जिंदा तो है ना अभी भी। तो
अब बेटा वो चीज नहीं रह गई ना पुरानी वाली।
हाँ
अब तो
जी
बहुत बुरे हाल है सोसाइटी के।
जी
अब पानी भी
जी।
मांगने जाओ तो कहाँ मिलता है पानी, एक गिलास पानी। कोरोना में मुझे पानी चाहिए था, पड़ोसियों ने नहीं दिया, मैं खुद कोरोना से ग्रसित थी।
उनके पास भी खुद पानी नहीं होगा मुझे लगता है।
अरे पानी, हाँ।
देखिए, रिसोर्सेज बहुत कम है, खुद जिए या जो।
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से एथिकल वैल्यूज जो है ना, वो अपने आप डेवलप करने से, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। ठीक कह रही हूँ, गलत कह रही हूँ?
हाँ, बिल्कुल सही बात है। आप मेरे से एल्डर हैं और आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं पूनम जी, मैं उससे कोई दो राय मेरी नहीं है बिल्कुल भी। और आई
तो ये तो
अग्री।
बहस का टॉपिक है, बट आपका जो मेरे को लगता है, जो मैंने लास्ट का सुना, आपका कंटेंट बहुत अच्छा था। और
थैंक यू।
यू आर अ वंडरफुल टीचर। मैंने जो अभी तो शुरू से अटेंड करी है टीचर क्लासेस बहुत। और जो निधि जी को तो मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगी कि इतनी वंडरफुल टीचर को हमारे सामने, ब्यूटीफुल एंड वंडरफुल बोथ।
थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू। यू आर अ ब्यूटीफुल एंड वंडरफुल पार्टिसिपेंट योरसेल्फ।
नहीं, अब तो ठीक
थैंक
है।
यू सो मच पूनम जी। सभी
you.
से मेरा अनुरोध है कि कल का सेशन भले आखिरी सेशन हो, बट बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि कल हम ज्यादा डिस्कशन और बातचीत करेंगे। IKS को क्लासरूम में लेकर जाने की बातचीत हम करने वाले हैं, स्पेशली इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी एजुकेशन. We also have Varsha ji with us here, who has extensive experience in school education. So she can also share her insights, Jyoti Rani ji and everybody else. I'll go to Jayashri madam, who has raised her hand. Yes, Jayashri ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to share an insight that we have observed, and see, it was actually prophesied also. The in as soon as and as the technology will be entering in our life, and in this age of technology, the children are actually, they are skilled very much. They think about machines. They have mechanics in their life, but they are deteriorating their emotional side. And I would say that intellectually they are very strong, but somewhere the value and ethical side
Yeah,
is deteriorating. So
ठीक बोला
brain
आपने.
has, yes, brain has two sides actually. One is means broadly I would say, I'm not going into that science and biological science, but I would like to tell you that brain has two sides. One is technological mechanism and all these things, and one side is emotional intelligence, and the values, ethics, and the respect, love, all soft skills where you develop yourself, as your personality will be outstanding somewhere, and you love people, you respect people, you think about the discipline, all these things. So here the students and children, I would say, okay, they are very much into the technology. They learn easily all the skills, but when they execute those skills, so they are lacking somewhere actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? Because they don't have discipline, they don't
They
have
don't have
respect for what
discipline.
they
Yeah.
have learned even, because they will think that if they have something in their mind, that will be, they got easily. They don't have value for that. As we were struggling at our times, we were struggling for a simple pilot pen when we were in school.
हाँ,
पायलट पेन
सही
जिसके
बात है.
पास होता था तो बहुत बड़ी बात होती थी. चाइना पेन, चाइना पेन, इंक पेन. It was a legacy. पापा ने मुझे चाइना पेन दिया, so it was like that. But nowadays people are owning so many things like iPhone, I would talk about. So
हाँ, iPhone.
they 1.5 लाख का फोन लेके घूम रहे हैं. They don't have value of it because उनको easily मिल रहा है. So skills भी, when they display those skills, they are lacking somewhere because they don't have that kind of confidence in them. क्योंकि उनको वो चीज बहुत easy मिल गई है. So that's why it seems when I interact with the students, when we take mock interviews and all, and so they come with their preparation, but somewhere they don't know how to answer on the spot. Presence of mind is missing, so they don't go into the research. They think that what they know is enough. So their
But
attitude is somewhere they are intellectually very strong, they know that programming and all, so they will they will be having a very luxurious and simple and very comfortable life. But life will not be comfortable with these things, materialistic things. Life will be comfortable with their soft skills, with their emotional intelligence, with their relationship with the people. So they don't understand these things. So we are trying to make them understand all these things by teaching them IKS nowadays. So I want to develop some knowledge in this field. That's why I have joined this. And I
बहुत
really
अच्छा.
appreciate the efforts of Madam Tanya Madam. And I would love to join more classes, more FDPs and more
बहुत अच्छा, तानिया,
seminars,
बहुत अच्छा
whatever.
पढ़ाते हैं.
Definitely, ma'am.
बहुत
I
अच्छा.
also agree with this. Whatever
और
you said,
आपने जो
I
बताया है ना,
really
आपने
appreciate.
जो बताया, ये रियलिटी है आज की, कि बच्चे डिजिटली इक्विप्ड हैं बट दे डोंट हैव एथिकल वैल्यू. रियली आपने अभी, मैं कुछ दिन पहले पढ़ रही थी कि एक पेरेंट ने, एक मदर ने अपनी बच्ची को बोला, कि बेटे को बोला कि तुम मोबाइल इतना मत चलाओ उसका मोबाइल, और उसने अपनी माँ को ही मार दिया. ये अभी मैंने पढ़ा. और अभी मैं उस दिन अभी एक कोई मेरे को बता रहा था कि जैसे पेरेंट्स हैं वो अपने बच्चों को कहते हैं हम पेरेंट्स ना बन के उनके साथ एक दोस्त वाला व्यवहार करें. तो वो अपनी बेटी के साथ दोस्त वाला व्यवहार करती थी. तो बिटिया रात को 2-2 बजे आती थी. तो एक दिन उन्होंने अपनी बेटी से पूछ लिया, बेटी तू 2 बजे, आप 2 बजे रात को क्यों आते हो इतना? तो बता उसने अपनी माँ को उलट के क्या बोला, दोस्त हो, दोस्त भी बन के रहो, माँ बनने की कोशिश मत करो. बेटी माँ को कह रही है कि दोस्त हो दोस्त बन के रहो, अगर दोस्त बनी हो, माँ बनने की कोशिश मत करो। इतना कह के अपने कमरे में चली गई, बताओ। तो ये हम अपने पेरेंट्स को कह पाते थे? हमारे साथ 6 बजता नहीं था यूनिवर्सिटी में, पेरेंट्स पूछते थे, घर आते थे, फोन तो कहाँ
देखिए
होते थे उस जमाने में।
पूनम जी, उसको पेट्रियार्की कहते हैं, उसको
हाँ।
ग्लोरीफाई ना करें। उसको वापस
नहीं,
ना
तान्या बेटा एक बात बता, चाहे कुछ भी कह, चल पेटेर के, लेकिन था तो वो भी कहीं ना कहीं तो वैल्यूज तो डेवलप कर ही रहते ना।
मेरा वो सार्केज्म में था।
कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, बट कहीं ना कहीं वो वैल्यूज तो डेवलप कर रहे थे ना
नहीं,
पेरेंट्स।
मैं
मैम,
इसलिए
मैं कुछ कहना चाह रही थी, मैं भी कुछ कहना चाह रही थी।
आपसे ना मजा आ जाता है बात करने में, और इतने बढ़िया सेशंस लेते हो ना, मजा आ
मैम
जाता है।
यही कह रही थी मैं कि फ्रीडम कितना भी हो, बट वैल्यूज से जुड़े रहना चाहिए।
वैल्यूज
फ्रीडम
से जुड़ा
होना
होना चाहिए। हाँ।
हाँ, फ्रीडम कितना भी हो, बट उसमें वो सिंसियरिटी खुद आनी चाहिए कि वो खुद टाइम पे घर आए, फोन
हाँ,
करके
ठीक,
बताए, है
सही
ना,
बात है,
पूछना
बिल्कुल
ना
ठीक।
पड़े। बस हमने उसको
हाँ,
छूट भी देनी है और उसको वहीं पे सिखा भी देना है, और उसको
हाँ,
भी ये समझना है कि मम्मी दोस्त हैं, लेकिन वो पूछेंगी भी और वो चिंता भी करेंगी।
नहीं, वो
तो
मम्मी
वो
को कहती है
करके
दोस्त
बताना।
हो दोस्त बन के रहो, माँ बनने की कोशिश मत करो।
हाँ,
डांट
तो
के माँ को ही डांट
उनको
के अपने घर
समझना
में
चाहिए।
तो
सही
माँ
बात
को
है,
एहसास हुआ कि कहीं मैं दोस्त बन के मैंने गलती कर दी।
ज्यादा दोस्त बन गए सर।
पूनम जी एंड जयश्री,
Everyone, we have only 2 minutes left. We have
Yeah.
to
ओके
close in
निधि
the
जी,
next
लेकिन
two
निधि जी
minutes.
आपने बहुत अच्छा सेशन ऑर्गेनाइज किया, और आगे भी इसकी टाइम लिमिट बढ़ा दी
थैंक
जाए।
यू, क्योंकि मुझे टाइम का ध्यान रखना है, मेरे को मेरी टीम को
नहीं, इसके
आंसर
दिन
देना
बढ़ा दो
है।
आप, तान्या बच्चे के दिन बढ़ा दो।
नहीं, आप सुनिए।
नहीं मैम, वो हम नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि हमारे जो स्टैंडर्ड एफडीपीज है वो 6 दिन के ही रहेंगे, और हमारे बैक टू बैक एफडीपीज होते हैं,
आपको कॉल
और हम छोटी सी टीम है और ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल इसमें।
ठीक है, ठीक है।
Yeah, तान्या जी, why don't you put your email ID?
मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ फोन करांगी पूनम जी।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। I think let's leave the scope for such discussion for tomorrow, क्योंकि
ठीक है
कल का
निधि
जो
जी।
पूरा हमारा सेशन है, right तान्या जी, tomorrow we will be entirely focusing on discussion, insights, exchange, तो कल का दिन हमारे पास है।
Yes, I'll take 1 minute only. 1 minute. 3 things that I would just like to put across in 1 minute's time. The first thing is, like, as you said, that when something goes extinct, then like you have, पहले birds के जो है tails होते थे, वो extinct हो गए। पहले हमारा जो ये appendix था, ये किसी काम का था, अब नहीं use होता तो throw away हो गया है। तो जो भी चीज नहीं इन्फोर्स होती है या नहीं कैरी फॉरवर्ड होती है, वेदर इज ट्रेडिशंस और रिचुअल्स, वो अपने आप में एक्सटिंक्ट होने लगता है, और उसको जो है समाज अपने आप रिजेक्ट करने लगता है। तो जहाँ पे ये एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, बेटी अपने माँ से, आजकल देखिए पेरेंट्स को भी नहीं पता है सही पेरेंटिंग कैसे होती है, वो भी इन सभी कॉलोनियल नैरेटिव्स और फ्रीडम और ये सब में पड़े हुए हैं। उनको लगता है यही अच्छा पेरेंट होता है, क्योंकि नैरेटिव ऐसा है। अब आपने जैसे बोला पहले की सिस्टम था कि आपको थोड़ा सा डर भी होता था पेरेंट्स का, विच इज नेचुरल बिकॉज दे आर योर पेरेंट्स, तो वो आपको एक नॉर्मल पर्सन बना के रखता था, विच इज वेरी अप्रिशिएटेड। बट विद टाइम क्या है, उसको इतना अब्यूज किया गया कि ये तो घटिया तरीका है, तो पेरेंट्स ने खुद उसको छोड़ देना सही समझा, एंड यू कैन सी द रेपरकशंस, राइट, यू सी दैट इन द वेस्ट ऑल्सो। तो जहां पर भी आपका नैरेटिव और गवर्नमेंट भी सपोर्टिव है इसमें कि आप अपने इंडिविजुअल इंडिजिनस एथिकल प्रैक्टिसेस, रिचुअल्स, ट्रेडिशंस एंड वे ऑफ डीलिंग विथ थिंग्स, ऑटोनॉमी आपका निकलता जा रहा है, बाहर से फीड जो है आए जा रहा है, तो आप जो है रिजेक्ट कर रहे हैं अच्छी चीजों को, और वही पास ऑन होता है बच्चों को। तो ये जितने 2 एग्जाम्पल हैं जहां माँ को जवाब दे रहे हैं क्योंकि बैड पेरेंटिंग है। the other thing, bad parenting ऐसे उनको पता नहीं है कि थोड़ा restriction भी बना के रखना है। The other thing is the killing of the mother, right? Now these are also rare and infrequent instances. I can give you 50 other examples जहाँ पे बच्चे अपने माँ बाप को बचाते हैं। 65% population तो विलेज में ही है। आई कैन गिव यू एग्जाम्पल्स कि जब किसी को सड़क पे इलेक्ट्रिक शॉक लगता है ना, सबसे पहले गरीब लेबर लोग ही भाग के, मैंने वीडियोस देखे, भाग के उसको बचाते हैं। कोई कुत्ता किसी को काट रहा होता है, सबसे पहले यही लोग आके बचाते हैं। कोई शहर वाला या सो कॉल्ड ये वो 35% जो अर्बन एरियाज में है, वो आपको नहीं दिखेगा, सिमिलरली गांव में जो समाज में होते थे वो अगर किसी के वहां पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो जाके पता करेंगे। आजकल के टाइम में आप अपने घर में मर्डर भी कर दो, किसी का बगल का नेबर आके नहीं देखेगा, भाई प्रिवेसी है, प्राइवेसी लॉज है ना, मतलब उसके प्राइवेसी में घुसना नहीं है, चाहे मर्डर ही हो जाए, कि कहीं हमें ना रिपोर्ट कर दे पुलिस को। अगर बीवी जब तक ना आए और बोले कि मुझे मेरा पति पीट रहा है, मुझे कंप्लेंट लॉन्च करना है, कोई पढ़ता नहीं उसमें, क्योंकि क्या पता बैक ट्रैक कर दे और उसके बाद। तो ये सब जो चीजें हैं ना, ये इट इज अ कंडीशनिंग दैट हैज कॉज्ड आवर सोसाइटी टू बिकम डिविएंट। अगर ये सब चीजें वापस नैरेटिव इन्फोर्स किया जाए, स्टेट भी सपोर्ट करे कि यही सही तरीका है, देखिए बाकी जगह फेल हो गया है और जो हमने वेस्टर्न पर्सपेक्टिव्स अपनाए हैं वो भी फेल हो रहे हैं, तो आप अपने इंडिजिनस एथिकल प्रैक्टिसेस को वो करें। तो दैट हैज टू बी ब्रॉट फॉरवर्ड, उस पर डिबेट होना चाहिए, उस पर डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, उसको लाना चाहिए। मैंने सही बोला पूनम जी? आपको ठीक लगा?
बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया।
Yes. Now let's close, please. It's 8:27. So we will gather, regroup tomorrow for the last session, where we are going to talk about how to take this knowledge about Indic local self-governance into the classroom through IKS. So I want all of you who are present here, जो पढ़ाते हैं colleges में या schools में, कि अपने discussion points और insights लेकर आइए about taking this to the classroom, because in the past few days we have been talking about some theoretical principles, some conceptual ideas, but ultimately if it does not reach out to the most important stakeholders in our system, students and young people, then all this effort will go down the drain. So yes, Tanya ji has put her email ID. So anybody who wishes to reach out to her may please reach out to her through her email ID. So with this, let me stop the record.